Hello guys, how you doing? FletchDota episode 11 is finally here, July 8th, 2014, and we are here just after the TI4 day 1 ended. Perfect timing on their part, or maybe perfect timing on my part. Of course, I'm sure the festivities will not be over tomorrow before the episode, but I will forego all of the TI4 games that happen at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You guys, of course, can run multiple streams and kind of watch me at the side while the game's going on, or watch the game with me at the side while I'm going on. And either way, if you at least open up the stream, I'll be appreciative. But I will skip everything that happens during my show to be sure to put out the show for you guys, because I have made it an obligation on myself to be here every single night. Of course, I did take July 4th off, and I've stated those reasons for you guys why I did that, but we will be running throughout the entirety of TI4, regardless of whether there's games or not. I can always catch up on the games later. I don't mind doing that. I don't have to see it live, me personally. I'm okay with that. I can watch replays. If I need to even watch the replays, most of the time I just look at results nowadays. But before we go any further, I have to give the obligatory shout out to the FIFA World Cup Team Germany. So, as the limited soccer fan that I am, or football fan in the rest of the world, I didn't know you could have over 1 point in soccer. I thought it was the first to 1 wins, because you always look at the score and it's like 1-0. Well, apparently you can get 7 points in a single game, as Germany showed Brazil, who from what I understood seemed to be the favorites to win the whole thing. They're like, oh, Brazil's going to win. Brazil's going to win. Brazil. Nope. They're not going to win. They are 6 points away from even thinking about winning. And if I'm reading this correctly, it took 29 minutes, which, how long does a soccer game go? About 90 minutes long? 29 minutes to get 5 of those 7 points. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. I don't play the game. I played the game before. I played Intramural. I think I talked about that on my stream live at some point in time. But 5 points in 29 minutes. That's kind of getting crushed. So good job, Germany. I just want to give them a shout out before we do get into the TI4 activities for today. Of course, one word of warning for those of you out here who have skipped TI4 all day today, and you're like, I'm going to watch the replays when I get home. I don't want to see spoilers, no Twitter, no nothing. Don't watch the news if you don't want to get spoilers. That's all I'm here to do, is tell you what happened today. And guess what happened today? TI4. We had solo mid championship. We had the wild cards. We had random other community stuff happening in the backgrounds. And I'm going to spoil it all. I am going to cover every single bit of it. Maybe not every bit of it. Maybe I'll brush over a little bit. So there might be one rug left unturned that you can be like, yes, he didn't spoil that one game between MVP and Virtus Pro. You know, I won't spoil that one game. There we go. That's my promise to you guys. The very first game between MVP and Virtus Pro, we won't talk about that the entirety of today. Now, the rest of the games are going to get spoiled, though, so try and, I would say just mute me. Just mute me if you don't want spoilers. Otherwise, guys, if you're here for the news, I am ready to give it to you. We've got TI4 literally just ended right before the stream, and I want to go ahead and hit my obligatory prize pool announcement. We are over $10.5 million. We are over the halfway mark, the hump. It is now downhill sailing straight to 11 million, and I want to see 11 million before the tournament's over. I don't know that we'll see it. We've got what? We have exactly 10 days, and at the current rate of about 50,000 a day, we can do 500,000. And if there's any spike, we can do more than that. So I think we can hit 11 million before the end of the tournament. That's my hope. That's my personal stretch goal. To you guys, there's actually, what's my prize going to be if we meet the 11 million stretch goal? I should do something, huh? I'll take suggestions from you guys. If any of you have suggestions for a stretch goal for $11 million, I'm open to suggestions, and I'll do something for 11 million when we hit 11 million. It certainly won't be as extravagant as the Valve stretch goals, but maybe I'll force myself to finish my bristleback set and call it the $11 million bristleback set. I don't know. We'll do something. We'll do something fun on the stream. Maybe I'll play 11 Dota games in a row with you guys after one of the casts. one game for each million added to the prize pool. That could certainly be something to consider. On top of that, Dota2.com, with all of the TI4 action going on, has come online. All of their buttons now work. You can travel to all of the different tabs. You've got the overview, the watch, the news, and the teams. Something interesting on the news tab for those of you who haven't noticed, because Valve doesn't do a good job of really marketing all their features. They kind of just slip stuff in there and let people find it on their own, kind of like little Easter eggs. And that might be just a touch of the game designer in them, because game designers love Easter eggs. For those of you who don't know what an Easter egg is, the term Easter egg comes from actual Easter eggs that we hunt on Easter, where you hide them out in the grass and then the kids all run around and look for the eggs with the prize inside or whatever. Game designers do the same thing. They try and hide little prizes that aren't announced in the game, but if you do something special and it pops out and you're like, oh, that's a nice little reward, I'll pat myself on the back and say good job, and you feel good about yourself. So Easter eggs in games, Valve kind of hides Easter eggs around their website. It's not the easiest website to navigate, but if you go over to Dota2.com/international, there's a news tab, and underneath the news tab, they started putting up interviews. So right here, we've got the TI4 interview, MSS, and Hotbid. We've got Arteezy and Hotbid. So it looks like Hotbid's actually doing most of the interviewing. He interviews Aki, ROTK describing his strategy for the All-Star match. So that's definitely something you probably want to watch. DK Coach 71, Ice 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 is a noob. Oh, that's got to be a fun video. But we've got to look around and then just Period Flex. Period Flex in the morning, episode 1, season 2. I wonder if this is going to be an ongoing thing throughout the entire international. So definitely some stuff to look at on Dota2.com that you may not have noticed, but I'll go ahead and drop that in the chat for those of you who can't navigate Dota2.com. And don't worry, I'm not going to call you a noob if you can't navigate Dota2.com. It's a difficult site to navigate. The way to get to the international actually looks like an advertising banner that you normally just tune out at the sidebar. It's like, I mean, people are so skewed from watching so much YouTube. You're like, anything on the sidebar, you just automatically don't look at. You focus, you put the blinders on and look right down the middle of your page. Don't look to the left, don't look to the right, because you know that stuff's just going to confuse you. And it's all not going to be related. It's just an advertisement. Someone paid for that space. Don't pay attention to it. But that's not the case on Dota2.com. Those are actually relevant links. And so if you read all the little banners, yeah, they're nice and colorful. One of those actually says the international, and that's how you get to the international's webpage. Now, on top of that, if you check out the watch tab, it took me a little bit to figure out how to handle this watch tab, but on the watch tab, if you actually click the individual days, those days are clickable, and on the main page, when you click one of the days, it has the live stream with stream navigation. Now, I'm not sure who's hosting the stream on this main page, but it's not the Twitch stream. You can actually click to go to the Twitch stream, but on the main page, that's not the Twitch stream. That's like maybe the official Valve stream or something. I'm not sure who's hosting it, actually. I wasn't able to figure that out. I did look around for it though, so I was like, maybe I should try streaming there as well. But not an option because I have no idea who it is. But if you scroll down after clicking Tuesday the 8th, you can get right down to the brackets. There are brackets on each of these days. And so if you're looking for the whole tournament schedule, just go to the individual day and scroll down far enough and you'll find the schedule. There isn't a specific schedule page. It's on the specific day of the event. So you have to go through. It's a little bit difficult to find the schedule. If you're looking for the official schedule, you kind of have to piece it all together. So of course today, Tuesday the 8th, we do have a lot of matches to talk about, but I'll save that for just a little bit later. I think we'll wait on that. We'll hold off on the amazing wildcard matches that we witnessed in Dota. The people who almost made it and the people who fell short. Of course, once again, guys, spoiler warning, spoiler warning, spoiler warning. We will be spoiling everything that we can except for that one Virtus Pro game against MVP. The very first one. I won't say a word. My lips are sealed. But of course, they do have all the match results as well as watching the match without seeing the results. You do have to click show results to see who won, but you can just go and click show results on everything. And even on the best of 2 series that happened, if there were any, then they show 3 games and you have to click show results and it's going to show you a dash on the ones that don't actually have 3 games in them. So you can go check that site out. That is, of course, for the 8th. And this is what I was talking about. We actually have, if you click to the 9th, this is, of course, tomorrow, Wednesday the 9th, will be tomorrow, playoffs phase 2. It's got a little countdown where the stream would normally be. It says games will begin in 15 hours and 50 minutes, so about 16 hours from now. And if you scroll down, we've got the standings, and you might have stopped there and been like, oh, that's the group standings. Yeah, they're all 0-0, but I want to see the schedule. Keep scrolling, and it shows you today's matches. And here's the first 4 matches in the morning. I am super hyped about some of these matches. Most specifically, the match I want to see that starts tomorrow morning, Alliance versus EG, Series 1, Game 4. First thing in the morning tomorrow, and I'm going to be watching it. I do not have anything scheduled tomorrow. I'm going to be working on my bristleback set. At least that's the plan. I say I'm going to work on something, and sometimes I work on something else instead. I am always working, but it's just like which project gets my time, and I really need to work on the bristleback set. I've been busy for 2 weeks. I want to get that done so I can publish it right next to the axe set. The axe set's looking so lonely in my workshop. But Alliance versus EG in the first round, I want to see that match. LGD versus Newbie, pretty excited about that. Fnatic and DK, I want to see how Fnatic performs. This will be Era's first official game back, which is going to be big. And then Evil Geniuses and Cloud9. Arteezy versus EE Sama, always a matchup you want to see. That's in the first round. Series 2, we get EG versus Arrow. Don't really care. I think Arrow's going to get crushed. Let's be honest, guys. Empire versus Titan. This one could be close. Vici and Mouse Sports. I think that could be close too. Navi US, and I'm assuming that's the wild card winner. It says to be determined. So Navi US should be playing the wild card winner, which we'll get to in a moment. Third round is, of course, Cloud9 and Arrow Gaming, DK and LGD, a match of titans from China. Of course, for those of you who don't know the story behind LGD, you might say, oh, LGD had to win qualifiers to get there. That's not exactly true. LGD was worthy of invite. They were going to be invited, but they switched up their roster. And they did this last year too, where at the time they switched up their roster around, they didn't get any weaker from the roster switch, but they ruined their eligibility for an invite. Not because of performance, but because of roster stability. And because of that, they have had to secure a roster slot. But if you watch their qualifier games, you will see the difference between LGD and every other team in China. They are strong and they belong up there with IG, DK, and Newbie. There is no doubt in my mind about that. So LGD and DK, this is going to be a clash of titans and definitely a game to watch in Series 3. Fnatic and Na'Vi, always fun to watch those two hit it off in Europe. Fnatic certainly makes a name for themselves for upsetting teams like Na'Vi, Alliance, and Empire, often in the European setting. Whether or not they'll be able to take... I think these are all best of one, so, I mean, that changes things. Fnatic's been known to win best of ones against all of the top teams. It's the best of threes and best of fives that they struggle with. You give them a best of one in group stages, I expect good performance against Fnatic because they can certainly catch people by surprise. It's very hard to draft against Fnatic, at least to ban against them and specifically. And then in group 3, or series 3, probably the biggest match of the day, Newbie versus IG. Again, two teams rated for that number 1 spot going into TI4, and you're going to see them duke it out on day 1. Series 4, and I think we have up to, oh wow, how many series do we have? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 series. So I'm just going to brush through these, and I'm only going to stop and talk about any big ones. We got Alliance and Titan, Navi and Vici, Fnatic and Navi US, Empire and Mouse Sports. Series 5, Alliance and Newbie. Again, one position teams, busting it out. Team DK will be playing the winner of the wild card. That should be a crush for DK. If it's not, then we have something to care about. LGD versus Evil Geniuses will be the game 4 for that, and then Titan versus Cloud9. IG and Arrow, Vici and Empire, Navi and Mouse Sports, Navi US and LGD. Navi and Mouse Sports might be close with how Navi is playing right now. We'll have to see going into TI4. I want to see how Navi's performing actually in the group stages because how they were at ESL was pretty shaky. So it makes me wonder, and that is, of course, Series 6. So we will see a good bit of Navi tomorrow. IG and DK will be playing a Series 7 Game 1, another huge one. So we have quite a bit of the big matchups between number 1 teams right now. Evil Geniuses playing Fnatic, Mouse Sports and Cloud9, and then Newbie versus the Wildcard. Should be a crush for Newbie. Alliance and Arrow will be playing in Series 8, Titan and Vici, Cloud9 and Navi US, Empire and Empire Navi. This is one that we definitely want to see. Always fun to watch Empire to begin with, and to watch them play against Navi. You never know who's going to come out on top in that sort of situation. Both very strong, and they know each other so well. That's what makes these games so interesting. Then the final series of the game has one of the biggest matches to watch. Team DK versus Alliance. Then Fnatic will be duking it out against Newbie, Evil Geniuses against the Wildcard, and Arrow versus LGD. So it seems like in every series, we've got at least one big game to watch. Now, whether or not I'll actually be watching the big game or not, it's going to depend on the casters. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm going to look for Toby or I'm going to look for Synderen. And if one of them's casting, I'm going to be watching that one, regardless of the game. Just because I love those casters. I'm going to have that playing because I like the noise of their voice as they cast the game while I'm working on my main monitor. A lot of times I'm not even watching, I'm just listening and working, and then I glance over every now and then for a little bit of information about what's going on. But that is the series coming out tomorrow, and if you check on the international watch page, you can get all of that information. I'll go ahead and throw this to you guys. So there you go, right down there. Akamai.com is the one actually hosting the TI4 streams. All right, that is good to know. I actually want to open this up in a link tab, cloud services. So they're not even a streaming site. They're actually just a hosting site. I guess they're giving them all the bandwidth that they need. From what I understand, they're doing a good job. I don't think we've had any issues with stream stability. I think the big thing we've had issues with, I wanted to mention this with the TI4 stream, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about it before I forget. The TI4 streams, I don't know what they tried to do at the beginning of it. But apparently, for those of you who thought casters were talking to themselves, and you're like, man, this is boring. The co-caster microphones were not working on any of the streams. And from what I understand, Valve tried to use in-game audio feed to send to their actual stream feeds. Now, I'm not sure exactly what that is, or how you manage that. I've never even heard of doing that. I've always just captured the stream, the audio straight from my computer. But apparently Valve tried to take the audio feed straight from the game, like you would get in the, if you watched in the game client, the same thing that goes to Dota TV. Now, whether or not that's actually true or not, that might just be hearsay or assumptions, I'm not sure. But Valve did fix the issue, as far as I can tell, because when I was watching later, we heard everybody talking. And so it's nice to see they sorted it out, but I am a little bit disappointed mainly because I hype Valve for their production value and how they don't do things unless they're going to do them right. And they've done the TI4 so right now. Until that point. At what point do you not test your audio before the stream goes live? And maybe they did, but then they messed something up in between. But the fact that it happened on every single stream, it wasn't just one stream, makes you wonder what they didn't do correctly before these streams went online. Because there was an audio feed. And gotta say, Valve, I'm a little sad about that. Because it's just a minor setback. That's like some people's first impressions of TI4 happened today. They didn't watch the qualifiers. They stopped in. They saw a Twitch-sponsored stream that had 100,000 people watching on 4 different streams, each with 100,000. Well, maybe not 4 different. I think it was 3 with around 100,000 on each of them. There was a Russian stream and 2 English streams that both had 100,000. They stopped by the Twitch channel that had 100,000 people watching, and the first thing they see is a guy with no audio feed. And that is a missed opportunity. But we have fixed that, and hopefully on day 2, we go back forward with a clean slate and make a better example as we go right into the group stages where the actual exciting matches are going to happen. Now, I shouldn't say that because we had some exciting wildcard matches. And we also had the 1v1 mid-tournament, who I will be announcing the winner of later. Again, if you do not want to be spoiled, you should not stick around. You should mute my microphone, and if you just want to hang around for the games afterwards, stick around for that, but just keep it muted, and you'll see me swap over to Dota 2 at a later time. But I am about to start spoiling, and before I actually start spoiling, I want to post something. I actually caught something on Reddit today, which, sometimes people are just posting websites, and I skip a lot of that stuff. But sometimes people actually put out original content, and there's a guy, Bruton Spinster, or is it Bruton Spin Star? I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce his name, but he put out something right here. And it's a GIF of the actual kills that won the games for all the 1v1 matches. So if you didn't have time to watch the matches and you want to see the actual action part of the game, there you go, the first blood. It was first blood or first tower to win the game. And those, of course, are all the individual first bloods going all the way into the 1v1 final. He didn't put the names in round 2 for number 1 and number 2, so you don't get spoiled just by looking at this. You can actually watch through the games. Game 1, 2, 3 for Dindy versus Arteezy, S4 and Ice Ice Ice, FY and Resolution, Mushi and Ferrari without knowing who won until you watched all 3 GIFs. So very good job by him. I really like that. And I just wanted to link that for you guys. And I don't think it's going to be often that you actually see me linking a Reddit page. But this time you're actually going to get it. There's the GIF cat for you guys. Giphy cat, I guess is what it is. Very high resolution GIFs, though. Very well done by this guy. Assuming he's the one that actually did it. He laid it out at least. So hopefully he's the one that did it as well. But, what do we have? What do we have? What do we have? Okay, 1v1. I guess I'll go ahead and spoil this first. We'll start off the night with the spoilers for the 1v1. So we started off the night. Or I guess the morning. These started in the morning. Starting off the morning, round 1, best of 3s. Every single one of the 1v1 matchups were best of 3s. First to first blood, first to first tower. Dindy and Arteezy, match number 1. Arteezy actually managed to 2-1 over Dindy. And there was actually some great play from that all around. I definitely recommend that match, especially the Dindy Puck match. Watching Dindy on Puck. I mean, a lot of times I consider Puck one of Dindy's weaker heroes. And when I say that, I don't mean that he's bad at Puck. I just think he's so much stronger at some of his other heroes. But watching him in the 1v1 tournament, he definitely had the presence of mind on his Puck game. He was on the top of his game on that Puck, which makes me excited because Navi loves to pick him Puck. And so that means maybe he's ready for TI4 as we're going into it. And I'm excited to see Navi perform tomorrow. I hope to see some phenomenal performance coming out of Navi. But speaking of that, Arteezy did 2-1 Dindy. Arteezy moved on to round 2. S4, now this was the biggest upset in the game to me. Ice Ice Ice, reigning champion, comes in. I hype Ice 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 all the time. He's my favorite player. And here he comes against S4. S4 2-0 crushes him. No contest. Absolutely dominated Ice Ice Ice. What were you thinking? And of course he had to play S4 in round 1. But at the same time, as upsetting as it was to see Ice 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 go home right at the start, S4's play throughout this tournament is phenomenal right now. Alliance is going to be a powerhouse going in tomorrow. Riding just on the shoulders of S4, I haven't even seen how their other players are performing yet. Of course, we did see the last 2 weeks where Admiral Bulldog is playing Nature's Prophet out of his mind. The new Blink Dagger Prophet that he brought into the meta with the no mana cost on the Blink Dagger, which we actually had the article from Dota.2p.com yesterday to talk about. That no Blink Dagger cost, he is abusing it on Nature's Prophet, and he has brought Nature's Prophet back where he has been struggling for an entire year, but he has found his niche, and I'm excited for Alliance, just as excited as I am to see Navi tomorrow, because they're, of course, the returning champions. And then the reason I'm excited for Navi is because they always get to the grand finals. And I want to see that repeated here in TI4. Whether or not it will happen, I have to question because there's so many strong teams. But how can you not want Navi to return up there? They have so much charisma as a team. Dindy specifically, and then Havos. They're just both so laid back. You know, some people hate him or not, you know, severely dislike Puppy. But Havos and Dindy, how can you hate them? They're like, I don't know. You just want to be their comrade. But S4, 2-0 to Ice 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 to move on against Arteezy in round 2. Now, Arteezy versus S4, something I noted. S4, in my opinion, completely outplayed Arteezy in the middle lane. But at the same time, Arteezy did not stop farming. S4, as much as he was outplaying him, could not stop Arteezy from getting last hits. He is phenomenal in his ability to bring farm. And when you look at Arteezy as a mid player, that's what he brings to EG. He plays that one position mid where everybody else in the mid lane is playing a 2 position. For those of you who don't know, positions in Dota basically like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the 1 position, it's really simple. It sounds complicated. Are you 1 position? Or are you 5 position? What does it all mean? Basically, number 1 gets the most farm. Number 5 down here, the little support, gets the least farm. It's your farm priority. So if number 2 walks into the lane and number 3 is in the lane, number 3 concedes farm to number 2. It's a nice, simple format to know who gets the farm priority. So the number 1 is usually the hard carry. Now, in EG's lineup, Arteezy plays that 1 position, which is different from most other teams. Most other teams have their mid player as the number 2 or they rotate their carry player into the mid lane. But Arteezy always plays mid. And that's something I noticed in his matchup against S4 in round 2. Now, of course, he did lose to S4 2-1. But the reason I bring this up is Arteezy's job is not to win middle. Arteezy's job is to get farm and carry his team. And he does that so well, even under the pressure of S4, who 2-0'd Ice Ice Ice, the reigning 1v1 world champion. And so very impressive performance by Arteezy, not just the 2-1 loss to S4, actually pulling a game off of S4, but the amount of farm he was bringing in even while he was losing the lane, and the fact that he 2-1 Dindy, a world-renowned mid player. So great performance by Arteezy. EG, if Arteezy's any sort of example of the rest of EG are on their game right now. I'm excited to see them come out of boot camp. All of these teams are performing so well. I am hyped for the group stages tomorrow, guys. I am really excited about this. Now, next matchup in round 1, FY versus Resolution. We actually had Resolution 2-0 FY. Can someone explain to me the hype behind FY? I see people spamming all over the place. FY God, FY God. Is it, well, like what's the deal with FY? Like I've heard a lot of hyped mid players, but I don't really understand the hype behind FY in this solo mid championship. But a lot of people seem to think he's a god at mid. We got 2-0. Is Resolution Russian or Ukraine? I think he's from Ukraine. But this is how we do it in Ukraine. You go back over there. Get ready for the group stages. We'll see you later. So, FY gone. For those of you who are big FY fans, explain the hype to me in the chat and maybe I'll understand. But otherwise, Resolution said bye-bye. And actually, no. How do you say bye in Russian? I don't think there's a word for bye or back in Russian. I think there's only davai. There's only move forwards because that's what Russians do. They just keep going and they never stop. And final match of the day, Mushi and Ferrari 430. Mushi, of course, often hyped as the #1 mid player in the world. Ferrari 2-1. Ferrari is saying, I am ready to return to glory. Ferrari, of course, most known for his Invoker, and I believe his Ember Spirit now as well. You don't want to let Ferrari pick Ember Spirit. I've seen many a team make that mistake, regardless of their #1 team in the world or not. You do not let Ferrari get Ember Spirit. But Ferrari 2-1 Mushi in the round 1. Mushi actually gone, as well as Ice Ice Ice. And these guys are both the finalists and the winner from last year's 1v1 championship. So Ferrari 2-1, great plays by him. Goes on to round 2 against Resolution. 2-0s him as well. Resolution is not an easy mid matchup, but Ferrari made it look easy. Now on top of that, S4 and Ferrari finally duked it out in round 3. A 2-1 victory for S4 over Ferrari. Great games to watch. I think the final matchup, was it, I think it was a Shadow Fiend matchup. I think I got to watch it right before the stream. I'm pretty sure it was Shadow Fiend. I saw a few different heroes. I think we saw Puck, Queen of Pain, and Shadow Fiend. So all great mid matchups. None of the boring ones that you sometimes see, like OD mid. No, please don't let that happen ever. Thank you, Valve. But some great games coming out from them. Of course, you can check out the gift cat link that I linked earlier if you just want to see the actual kills, or you can watch the whole games. I don't think any of the 1v1 matches were super long. If I had to guess on one of them being super long, maybe one of the Arteezy matches. That would be my best guess. But other than that, I mean, Ferrari definitely showing he's on top of his game. S4 is ready. He is ready for TI. He is ready to win some mid lanes, and that is certainly a start for Alliance to win some games in general. So great job to see all these mid players returning to glory, whereas like Ferrari had kind of dropped off, it felt like, where people, you know, it's like his Invoker was hyped and it was like, oh, Ferrari's performance isn't all that great, but now he's back. He is back and he is ready to dominate some teams. So we will wait and see how IG does tomorrow. On top of that, we did of course have the wildcard matchup. Now, wildcard matchup, for those of you who do not know and did not catch the qualifiers, in each region we had a qualifier to pick a team that would win the qualifier and come straight to TI4 for the group stages. Along with that, we took the second place from each region and said there's a 16th spot that's going to be open. The winner from each of you guys, all the second place teams playing against each other, gets the final spot. And so we had a Southeast Asian, China, Europe, and North American team all show up for the wildcard matches: Virtus Pro, MVP Phoenix, CIS, and Team Liquid. Team Liquid did not drop a single game against anybody in the wildcard matches. And it is in large part something I wanted to mention to you guys. Boba's been playing off lane. Boba has been playing off lane for Team Liquid up till now. In the qualifiers, Boba played off lane. And Demon, or you might know him as Pegasus, aka Jimmy. If you ever hear someone talking about Jimmy in Dota, that's who they're talking about, Demon or Pegasus. His name right now is Pegasus. I don't think he's going to change it back to Demon. I think he likes being Pegasus. So maybe we should start calling him Pegasus. He is no longer playing support. He is actually their offlane player now. Boba has swapped over to what I understand as playing captain for Team Liquid, and their play has turned around phenomenally. The aggression coming out of these guys just doesn't let up, and I am expecting to see them actually take a few games out of a lot of these tier 1 teams going into the group stages, and I'm excited to certainly see their performance next year following TI4. Wow. Following TI5. So maybe after the next TI, we can see some... No, after this TI, I expect to see some strong performance come from this with the experience they gather from TI4. I certainly don't expect to see them shut out. And I will be honest with you, Team Liquid going into this, I didn't expect them to take a single game in the wildcard matches. But with this swap up and their performance, I am excited about Team Liquid. I've got 2 North American teams I can cheer for now and not feel guilty about doing it. Oh, I'm just cheering for the North American team because it's the North American team. But no, I am excited for Team Liquid. I like their new style with Boba as captain and playing as the support, giving himself time to analyze the map for his team. I love Jimmy in the offlane. He is one of my favorite players, even though he does tend to be hyper aggressive and throw. He's the way I call it. I say he's North America's Havost. Now, I don't want to understate Havost and the pressure that he makes for Na'Vi as a carry. I think a lot of people overlook that. And he is a great carry by all means. But I consider Jimmy, I'm not talking about skill level when I say this. I'm talking about play style, where he is hyper aggressive across the map, doing whatever he can to be on the enemy side of the lines so that they always have to worry about, where's Jimmy? Where's Jimmy? There's a demon in the trees. Or a Pegasus. There's a Pegasus in the trees. That's what he does for his team. And that's what Havost does for Na'Vi. When you look away from your map for just a second, Havost is no longer on the map and you're like, is he killing our ancients? Is he killing Roshan? Like, we're pushing his base. Is he killing Roshan right now? And yes, he's killing Roshan and he's killing your ancients. Oh, by the way, he's attacking a hut inside your base. That's just Havost's play style. And you can't stop that. That's just how he plays. And I love it. Jimmy plays the same way. Dota Demon, aka Pegasus. And he is performing phenomenally in that offlane. I think we saw an offlane Lycan. We saw some Bat Rider. What other heroes did we see? I can't quite remember off the top of my head. I wasn't fully paying attention to all the wildcard matches. Something I want to mention. Anyone else bothered by how much time in between games we set looking at the International 4 Championship screen on Twitch? That bothered me. There was no timer saying a countdown. Like, oh, game will be back up in 15 minutes. There was nothing but a TI4 screen. No information. I was like, well, what's going on? And so I just turned the streams off at one point. I was like, I guess I'll check back later and just look for results. But I don't know. There was a lot of downtime in between the games and no explanation of what was going on. So maybe Valve will adjust that as we go into group stages. Maybe they'll see some feedback from some people. I don't know if anybody else had the same complaint as me. Maybe it was just me. I don't like sitting there looking at a screen that just says the International 4 is incoming. Pegasus equals unicorn equals demon equals Jimmy. Oh, is that why? It's because Liquid got a horse logo and Red Bull gives him wings? All right. So we got the backstory behind Pegasus. All right, that's nice to hear. Please learn that there's Russian words for buy and back. No, there is not. There actually is not. There is only Divai, Confusi. There's only Divai. I almost called you a little Suka. I don't want to do that. You're still a little Confusi right now. Something interesting, Dota.2p.com, that I want to bring up for you guys. I saw today, we talked about yesterday about the Blink Dagger and how it influenced the current meta. They did a great article on that, and they brought up something today that I had not even considered. I thought about Blink Dagger. I certainly understood the importance of nerfing Blink Dagger. I even talked about patch notes as they were released live on my stream. I think I was playing Dota and someone asked me to do patch notes. So I just went through them all and I talked about that. I said, oh, this Blink Dagger change is huge for initiators who normally have to go Arcane Boots right off the bat. I mentioned Sand King and Tidehunter. Heroes that don't normally have the mana pool to sustain blinks in succession. And now with the no mana cost, they don't have to worry about that. Of course, they're still going to pick up Arcane Boots because that's useful to be able to spam a couple of your other skills, but it's no longer mandatory before your Blink Dagger, which Sand King used to struggle because he used to have to go Arcane and Blink. And now he can go Brown Boots into Blink, Boots of Speed into his Blink Dagger. And he wasn't able to really do that and be successful previously. You could do that, but it was a stretch to make it successful. Well, on top of that, Dota2p.com talked about something I never even considered. Does seeding order matter at Dota 2 lands? And when we say seeding order, we're talking, of course, about players and where they sit at the table. You see all 5 players sitting next to each other and who they're sitting next to. And they go through it for a while. Of course, they mentioned that they leave out Fnatic because they're not playing with Excalibur in TI4. So they wanted to talk about teams that had consistent rosters going into TI4. And they go through each of the teams, list the lineups that they've seen, and talk about the results. So it's a really interesting article. They talk about supports. The number 1 lane support sits with their supportees. And so, for example, they're talking about Havost sitting next to Kuroki so that they can communicate instantly if there's anything going on in the lane. They talk about Dindy sitting next to his offlaner. Fada as well. It seems like the mid players like to sit next to their offlaner so they can coordinate ganks from the offlane. They also sit, we actually have the jungle supports, like Pycat likes to sit next to Fada and then sit next to Pas for the lane support so they can coordinate each other as well. So really interesting to actually see all these different lineups. So Misery Pas sit next to each other. Pycat, of course, sits in the middle next to Fada, and MSS sits on the end. But they've all got all the different lineups down here. So we've got Alliance, we've got Cloud9, we've got EG, we've got IG, we've got Vici Gaming, Mouse Sports, and of course Navi. So there you go. If you want to check that out, there's the Dota 2P article for the day. Yes, I am probably going to have a Dota 2P article every single day because these guys do such a great job. And, it's kind of nice that they keep putting out these great articles. I don't think there's a better website that's putting out such quality articles every single day. And I hope they keep it up. It's hard to do. It's hard to find quality content every single day. Some days you feel like you run out. Even on this but sometimes I struggle to actually find relevant things to talk about. And I'm like, am I going to have enough? And some days I even have to cut the show short. But I mean, it's just, I'm not going to sit there and BS you guys for, 20 extra minutes just to say I can hit a perfect hour every time. When I run out of content, I'm going to say, okay, guys, on to the viewer segment. Now, TI4. We'll go ahead and check our Instagram for today. Let me go ahead and pop over to the screen. Of course, we got some new pictures coming out here. So for those of you who are TI4 buffs, we've got the Dota 2 Instagram, again, popping up more pictures. If you want to see the players in all their different areas, doing their games, of course, like right here, for example, Liquid, here's their setup right now, getting ready to play their wildcard matches before their glorious victories. Jimmy too strong. So there you go. For those of you who are doubting me about Jimmy, there he is, being too strong and people calling him Jimmy already. So don't throw, Demon. Of course, that's what he's known for, the throws from his old EG days. But he is certainly not throwing with Liquid. They are doing a great job. And what is this? Is this the 1v1s? No, this is MVP fighting Liquid. I could only see the tiny little screen. So if you want to check that out, of course, Dota 2's TI Instagram. That's instagram.com/Dota2TI. Now, on top of that, I found something today on Join Dota's website that I thought was really cool. Join Dota's actually started up a picture gallery, and I'm hoping they're going to continue doing this, but they actually made a picture gallery of their own where they've got a bunch of different pictures for you to check out. So like right here, here's Navi scrimming. They're still scrimming, even going into the tournament. They're scrimming as of today. Actually, this is 2 days ago. So when did they start this? Navi was scrimming up to 2 days ago, even though they're at Seattle ready for the event. They are taking this very seriously, and that is what you want to see from Navi, because this is a Navi we have not seen since TI1. I don't think we've seen Navi take Dota seriously at all. for the past 3 years now. But here we are, and I guess something about TI4, maybe just the competition, they're like, hey, these teams have really improved, and we're going to have to work our butts off if we want to perform and not just go home. Actually, we saw in that Dindy interview, he was kind of joking, but I think he may have been a little serious when he was asked, how are you going to perform? He goes, I think we'll probably make it in the top 15 or 16. And he laughed about it. But then he kind of made a serious remark, and people like to joke, but then they slip in something serious afterwards, and sometimes you miss it over the joke. He said top 10 is going to be tough. And that is certainly telling for Na'Vi with how serious they're being right now. They do not want a disappointing performance. They have a lot of pressure riding on them because they do have a huge fan base. And they've kind of rode through into the grand finals and the other TIs. But this one is going to be a very difficult, very competitive international, more so than any other, I think. Because we have strong teams from every single region. If you consider Titan really strong. And I don't know if I exactly consider Titan as strong as some of the other teams. So maybe we can count out Southeast Asia. But we've got so many teams from China that makes up for it. And we've got so many teams from Europe. And we've even got a team from North America. When have we had a team from North America? Never. I mean, we had them at the international, but you were never like, EG is going to win TI3. EG is going to win TI. No, they weren't. And you knew it. They did well in the group stages. That was nice to see. They at least didn't go 0-15 like MUFC. And hopefully we don't see that this year, but we might. You never know. We'll have to wait. I don't think Liquid's going to be the one to go 0-15, though, not watching how they're playing right now. So I'm excited about that. Along with that, JoinDota has put out a little thing that's a little bit different than the, of course, TI4 information. This is just a fun little thing I saw on JoinDota today. It's called Matchmaking. And this is the pilot episode with Toby and Capitalist. And you might think, oh, are they playing matchmaking games? No. This is like matchmaking like in the game show where you try and pair people up as love interest. And they've actually got Toby 1 answering questions, and Capitalist has to answer. He has to either answer them right or wrong. And if he answers enough right, he gets to fall in love with Toby or something. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they get married. Maybe it's like Bachelor, and he becomes the new, the fiance of JoinDota. What is Toby's official position at JoinDota? CEO? Executive? Grand broadcaster extraordinaire? I'm not entirely sure. It's not like all of that stuff's public, or maybe it is public somewhere. I have to look into that. But Toby and Capitalist, will they hit it off? I'm not going to spoil that one for you. At least I'll go ahead and drop you the YouTube link over there. Certainly it's 2 minutes long. It's not that much time out of your day, and it's pretty entertaining to watching them. And it's not just like Dota questions. It's like just general questions. So have some fun with that. Hopefully we see more of those coming out of JoinDota. It's actually on channel JoinDota Plus. So I wonder if they have something planned, or if JoinDota Plus is just a channel they've had going with all their extra content. I'm not too up to date on that, but I would like to see. Now, something big today. I actually looked over in the Caster social channel on Skype, which is a Skype channel with a bunch of casters in it who talk about nothing. We talk about nothing. It's like Seinfeld. It's a chat about nothing. There's really no relevance to anything that we do in there, other than people self-promoting and then just spamming each other and talking and having fun. You know, they're all casters. We can kind of relate to each other. I didn't actually see it in that chat. I saw it in a different chat. And, but it was casters talking that I saw. That's the reason I thought it was the caster social chat. But I saw people talking about the noob stream today, and they misunderstood what the noob stream was supposed to be. And I want to say I was astounded by how well done the noob stream was done. Now, a lot of people were like, why is Pyrion Flax casting Dota on the noob stream? How are they supposed to learn from him? But that wasn't his role. So we had Sunsfan, we had Pyrion Flax, and we had Shane. Those were, for lack of better terms, I think Pyrion Flax is actually the one I've heard say this before. What I bring to casting is the noob perspective. These guys bring the noob perspective into the game so that the new guy that doesn't know what's going on with Dota 2 can relate to not understanding what's going on. And it's entertaining. Those guys are all entertaining to listen to. They say some very funny things while they're casting. And that's what's important. They bring entertainment and they bring the noob perspective into the cast. The guys who are actually casting the noob cast are Purge and Blitz. And you can't argue that these guys are both renowned for their ability to coach and teach new players. A lot of people get really mad at Purge guides and everything, or they flame Blitz for being on Zephyr and being a bad player or whatever. The fact of the matter is, as a coach, these guys understand how to get the complexities of Dota across in the English language. And there's not a lot of people who can do that. I've made some guides myself. I think I made a warding guide, which wasn't about ward positions. It was about aggressive warding and defense, or offensive and defensive warding, and how you understand your mini map to do that. I also did some on offlane and a few other things. The one thing I have not figured out how to talk to somebody about, and it's probably the most important thing in Dota, is positioning. How you teach somebody to properly aggressively or defensively position themselves in a lane, how to flow with a creep wave as it ebbs back and forth, how to do the dance of the lane in Dota. And the fact that Purge and Blitz can teach people so fluently is astounding to me, and I can't think of anyone better. I was actually wondering yesterday, who's going to be teaching the noob stream? I was excited to see a noob stream, because I've definitely said for the past 2 weeks, we need a way to bring new players into the Dota 2 through TI4. You have to broaden your audience through this big event, or it's not worth it. It won't develop esports unless you actually grow your audience through the publicity that this is going to create. You have to take advantage of that, and this noob stream is certainly a way to do that. So I'm excited for that. And I saw lots of stuff that was great feedback about the noob stream. So I just wanted to clear that up. And I certainly think it got through to the point that it was supposed to, at least to the people it wanted to. Maybe you're a bit more versed in Dota and it didn't really fit your fancy, but that's okay. It wasn't targeted at you. Now, on top of that, I want to talk about something. And it's kind of a disappointment, but I don't know exactly how they're planning things. I saw an analysis desk today. And whether or not, we actually have Hort saying over here, Join Dota channel is the VODs and Join Dota Plus is the other content. So there you go, guys. The Plus channel is where they put their fun stuff, and then the VODs are all on the Join Dota channel. I think I follow the Join Dota channel or subscribe to it. I don't think I followed the Plus channel, but I definitely should if they're going to be putting out fun stuff like that, so I can watch the videos as they come out. But I saw the analysis desk on the main TI stream, and I saw Shiver. And who else did I see? I saw Draskell, I think. I had no idea who the other two guys were. And I put up the names, Ryu and What Is Hip. And all I could think to myself is, please, 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 Valve, tell me that Too Good James, Too Good Harding is going to be at TI4. I really have to go back and check. I didn't think to do this earlier, but I'm going to go check Join Dota right now because they put out the caster list. Tell me that he's there. More news, more news, more news. Scroll down, more news. TI4 coaches, schedule. I know they put out a caster list. He's got to be there. He did such a good job hosting at the, was he a host? Was he technically a host? But he was sitting at the desk at TI3. And that guy is probably one of my favorite esports personalities. And if you don't include casters, he is my favorite esports personality. He does an amazing job. He's hilarious to watch, at least in my opinion. I think he's probably one of the greatest people to watch. 9 days ago, 10 days ago. What does a host do, Zoe? I actually can't find it. So somebody has to tell me. Please tell me he's going to be there, because I can't find a little article that said which guys are going. I don't know, guys. I really don't know. Off the top of my head, I cannot know. So I hope he's there. And now, not to say that I don't like those guys. They all have their place, except for the two guys I didn't know. And I'm sorry if I'm supposed to know them. What Is Hip and Ryu. I'd never seen those guys before in my life. I was like, who are these guys? And I'm sure they've done stuff to qualify to be where they are. But I need James to be there. I need him to be there. That guy's too funny not to watch. Okay, I see, dude, he's going. Yeah, only has level 3 compendium, so he wasn't invited. Okay, thank you, Cruel GGs. Thank you for assuaging my fears. Assuaging. There's a word I'm trying to say, and I think it's like ASSUAGE. ASSUAGING. I think is what I'm trying to say. That may or may not be a word, but we certainly tried it anyways. And so he is going to be going, guys. We can breathe easy. Ryu played for E-Hug, and What Is Hip has been casting for years. He cast TI2 qualifiers. All right, I just didn't know who they were. So I'm glad you guys know. It's not that I don't like those guys. I just need him to be there because he's my favorite, I want to cheer for my favorite guy. And he was absolutely hilarious at TI3. I don't think I'd actually seen him do anything before TI3. I knew about the GD studios, but I didn't really watch them. But then I saw him at TI3, and the banter between him as he went back and forth, not just between the table, but to the actual stage to Casey, was absolutely hilarious. I love the guy now. I quickly became a fan of him during TI3. And he handles the camera so well. He has stage presence. And there's a lot of casters who have great voices, but then if you like put the camera on them, you're like, it's not really anything special because they don't really have presence in front of the camera. He has a presence on that stage, wherever you put him and in front of that camera. Even in the laid back environment, that was the GD stream during, what was it? I can't remember what tournament it was. It was multi-stream though, and there was the GD stream, and there was the I think it was the TI4 qualifiers. The TI4 qualifiers had the multiple streams. They had the EU studio with the cats. Freaking hilarious. And they were like, look, you're gonna see Dota games all day. Here's some Dota personalities. Just kick back and enjoy some games if you want to watch them, or come watch us on the Couchcast. And I saw some people getting mad, but I'm sorry. That Couchcast was well done. They had high quality microphones set up. They had cameras set up in key locations so you can kind of see what people are doing. And they kept bringing in personalities from all over Europe. I think they had Sing Sing, they had Puppy stop by. They may have had Dindy stop by. I'm not quite too sure on that. I know No Tail was there at one point. So we had a bunch of people stop by, and it was fun to see them interact with all the other people there. And it was also fun just to see all these personalities that you don't normally get to see the behind the scenes of, just to see them hanging out and how they act in person. So really good idea from them, and it was great to see. And I certainly want to see him at TI4. So excited to see him. And, excited to see Liquid's performance tomorrow. Excited to see EG's performance, Alliance, Na'Vi. They're all super big. IG is going to be so strong. Ferrari. How can you be stronger than how Ferrari's playing right now? Of course, unless you're S4. And that's why Alliance is on that list. Normally, I wouldn't be hyping up Alliance, but S4 is at the top of his game. He is standing on a mountain right now looking down at all the other peons who could not climb to the top of the middle lane. But he is there, and he is ready to go. And he is such an aggressive mid player when you get him on his key heroes. So I am ready to see Alliance roll. I'm ready to see what they bring for TI4. I'm ready to see what all these teams bring. And that, of course, starts tomorrow, early in the morning. We got about 16 hours from now. So I think it actually starts about 11 a.m. for me. It's 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Or is this Pacific Daylight Time? Pacific Time. U.S. Pacific Time, which is our West Coast up in Seattle. And 9 a.m. for them, 11 a.m. for me. I get up, have a lazy breakfast around 10, start working on my workshop. Pie Cry was the best. So yeah, you guys certainly saw it. More personalities. Oh, thank you. Let's look at the personalities. You did drop me a link. I appreciate that, Mwegi. Here, more personalities entered to TI4. So we got Merlini, Lysander, Blitz, Toby1, Sheevers, Cinderin, Pyrion Flax, Shay Nomad, K-Pop Tosis, IC, Bruno. There he is. James Too Good Harding. I'm sorry, I have to say his full name. I can't just say Too Good. It doesn't sound right. You have to say James Too Good Harding every time. Coddle Guy, Mott, Suns fan, Mott. I feel like I recognize Mott, but it wasn't from casting. It's from something else. I feel like he did some stuff behind the scenes, possibly related to Join Dota at some point in time. But I can't be sure on that. I feel like I've run into Mott at some point. And I used to hang out with a lot of the Join Dota guys at the very beginning of Dota 2, like in 2011, because there wasn't a very good matchmaking system. There's like 300 people in the pool. So we just did in-houses at scheduled times. There's like always Europe in-houses. So it was always me and some Join Dota admins, and then like some high-skilled Europe players, or at least they thought they were high-skilled, and they all did good. So you have to assume they were. And we kind of knew each other, so we all balanced the teams. But I played with like Moose, and Toby actually didn't ever play in them. At least I never caught him playing in them, which was interesting to me. I thought he would be playing in those more than he was, but I never saw him in one of those. So maybe he does in-houses, maybe he doesn't. I don't even know if he has time to play Dota. I hope he does, because I know he loves the game. I don't think you'll find a guy that loves Dota more than Toby1. But let me go ahead and get through the list. Of course, we got Casey coming again. I'm really excited about that. She did a great job at TI3 as a professional broadcaster. she certainly showed up there on stage what it means to be professional. And she came into that just like the news reporter that she is, and she busted out TI3 for us. I'm excited to see her coming in TI4. I think I mentioned her Twitter. She's been tweeting out that she's been playing Dota 2. She talked about always having a teleport scroll on her, so I guess somebody yelled at her. She probably got flamed. Oh my god, noob, you don't have a TP. So she's like, okay, today I learned we must always keep TPs in our inventory. Oh, is Mod in NA Dota? That's probably where I've seen him. Then I've probably seen him in one of the leagues. C9DL, IXDL. I think C9DL is the last one I played in. LD Gods, Capitalist, Wagamama, Baskip, of course in his little Mudkip costume, I think is what that is. Ryu Borus, and what is Hip and Luminous. Is Ryu Boris? Is that the confusion? Because I've heard of Ryu Boris, but I assumed Ryu was someone different. They only put Ryu. They didn't put Ryu Boris, and they put the full what is Hip for Greg at there. So, of course, Luminous. How could we forget Luminous? He's the last one on the list, but he's not last in our hearts. Great guy. I really enjoy watching him. And I was actually surprised that I did. From some of the stuff I'd seen, just caught him here or there. I came into like one of the first full casts that I actually watched of him with some, I guess, negative connotations for what I was ready for. But I think I watched him cast some like tier 3 North Korean Dota, and he just flamed everybody. But watching him in a real game and when he's being serious, I was very impressed by him. So excited for the Luminous games as much as all the other ones. And I think him and Toby 1 are one of the combinations that we're going to be seeing. Excited for that as well. I think they make a great pair together. As much as Synderen and Toby 1. Of course, Synderen and Toby 1 will always be number 1 in my heart. You can't get rid of the Toby 1 Synderen pair. And we're going to get to see those on day 2, though, not on day 1, I think. I think on day 1, we only see Luminous and Toby. But I could be mistaken. I had to go back and check the schedule. But as for that, guys, that is all of your news for tonight. We will be getting into the viewer segment of the show right after I end the news segment. For those of you who do not know, I hang around after the show. We play a game of Dota with my viewers. We fill up a team and have some fun. And of course, all of you who aren't in the game with me can always talk to me in the chat. I make it my point to sit there and reply to the chat. I try and interact a little bit with the chat while I'm casting the actual news segment, but that's kind of hard to do because I really just need to talk to the camera and tell you the guys the news. We got to get through it. So I try and, read up a little bit while I'm talking. You'll see me glance over here. That's my chat. But during the Dota segment, I definitely talk to you guys 100% while I'm playing Dota. I've been able to do that for ever since I played Dota because, I don't know, I'm just able to do that. Some people can't. They're like focus on Dota and they forget about their chat. But I will talk to you guys while we play Dota. We'll have lots of fun. If you want to give me some direct feedback, that's the easiest way to do that. Of course, you can always catch me on Twitter. Follow me at Twitter at FletchDota. If you tweet at me, I get a little notification and I'll be sure to read it. So if you got any feedback or if you just see a news article you think should be on the show, certainly throw it at me. I appreciate the help. I've gotten a few of those. I've definitely got some feedback and some criticism from various people, and I've tried to implement those as well. And you can also follow me on Twitch to see when I go live. I do other streams besides just my news show. We might not do much during the international, just the news show, because I want to watch TI4 some. And I'll probably just be doing my workshop work without streaming it. I normally stream it, though. So after TI4, certainly follow me on Twitch so you can catch my other streams as they come out. On top of that, you can always email me, masterfletch@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns. I'd love to hear from all of you. Or none of you, if none of you want to talk. I'm not going to force you to email me. Don't worry about that. But as always, guys, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, we do have an episode weeknights, Monday through Friday. And that concludes our 11th episode, July 8th, 2014. And we will be getting to episode 12 following the group stages tomorrow. Not following at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Even the group stages is still going on, which it probably will be considering how things are going. But after the show, I will still play a game of Dota with you guys. I won't cut that out. I won't cut out the viewer segment. That's very important to me to be able to interact with you guys. But we will watch the game after the game of Dota. I'll turn off my stream and then we all go watch TI4. So that's going to be it for tonight, though, guys. And we will go in the viewer segment now. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. FletchDota, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.